What's going on, yeah? Crazy 36 hours. I will say that. And so, the best way to explain this while I eat some kind of soup here is going to be start from the beginning. Today is Thursday, October 9th, okay? When I'm recording this. So, when I say today, I'm referring to Thursday, October 9th. So, yesterday, Wednesday, October 8th, I was at the job that I'm at. And as we were about to go to breakfast, I went to the breakfast area, got my plate, and I pulled my phone out. I got an email, and it was from the subject line had in quotes "Orange Crush." I was like, okay, this must be something about my Richard Sokolosky. All right, and I'm just gonna pull it up on here. All right. And so I opened up the email and it was decent length. And I started reading. At first, I was thinking, okay, maybe this is somebody who saw a picture inside and they thought it wasn't cited right. And now they're mad. I don't know. But I decided to read the email. And basically saying, I got email address from your publisher. We need to talk, like in person. I saw an ad on Facebook about your book. I was speechless for like 10 minutes. I'm retired. I live in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm originally from Houston. I played college baseball at Sam Houston State in the 60s. And then after that, I signed as a free agent, a non-drafted free agent, I think, with the Astros, the Houston Astros, and played in 1971, 1972 in the Astros organization. And I knew everybody pretty much on the 1971 team and in the front office. So now you know why we need to talk. Here's my phone number. I look forward to hearing from you soon. So I was like, oh, shoot. I thought I'd recognize his name. I still don't know where from, if I do. And so he did leave a phone number. So I was like, okay, I got the email at 9:58. And so I called him at like 10:02 Eastern time. I call him. Hey, this is Richard. Hey, this is Samuel Barrett, author of Orange Crush. And he's like, wow, man, I still can't believe what I saw on my computer. And, we talked for about 9 minutes or so before I had to get back to what I was doing. But basically saying, like, we got to talk. He just was really loved what he saw. He wanted to copy the book, wanted to read it, and just to see something harkening back to the time he played in. That doesn't happen much these days, especially not from somebody young like me. That just doesn't happen. Yet it did. He ran into that, and he couldn't believe it. And so, he talked a little bit. He said he wants to save a lot of stuff for the meeting, a lot of details, stuff like that. I said if I would have known he would have been this enthusiastic, I might have tried to look at the minor league rosters and try to reach out to some of them. He said, well, I wouldn't be on any minor league rosters. That's a long story I can tell you about. And he did somewhat today. That's kind of a story that he actually really doesn't talk a lot about just because it was secretive at the time. And so he just doesn't go into that. So, I mean, but the guy definitely, was there. He told me that he knew a lot of the, what the heck? Hold on a second. Okay. He obviously he knew a lot of the players on the team and could recall some of that. And he really just wanted to know if I could get up there to Huntsville to meet him and talk with him. I was like, well, I'd be happy to do that. Like just some fan, because like there's like old people fans who comment on my videos now about older baseball stuff, and they're not former players. They're not people who had a connection. They're just the fuddy-duddies who haven't moved on and appreciated today's game, or that's just all they think of something. There's people like that who comment on my videos. I can tell this guy played. This guy was with the Astros organization. And so, he told me, even toward the end, you could just tell how much these days meant to him. He told me he'd worked for the Rocket City Trash Pandas minor league team. He helped open that up. He actually had a role in opening up 3 ballparks: the Astrodome, Bank One Ballpark in Arizona, and then Toyota Field in Madison, Alabama. Because he said, April 9th, 1965, history was made. You know what I'm referring to? I said, I do exactly, when the Astrodome opened. And he said he was there. And this is when he actually started crying at this point, just because those days meant so much to him. And he got to see his boyhood hero, number 7 of the Yankees, Mickey Mantle. He's like, please try to make it up here, because I just happened to have a couple of days off coming up. Today was one of them. Tomorrow is another one. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my work here, and I'm gonna think about it today. Talking about yesterday, and I did. And so I was like, wow, this is crazy. Guy with the organization. There's no telling what kind of stories this guy has that maybe, a Norm Miller, a George Culver, a Tom Griffin, and definitely a Larry Durker wouldn't have, because it's a different experience, minor leagues versus major leagues. And so I was talking to Joshua, my publisher, because he's the one who gave him my email address. I was like, hey, I just called this guy. I'm thinking about going up there. And we raised it to where ultimately we got to 1:00 p.m. Central Time today. I'd be in Huntsville at this cigar lounge that we did some work in over the summer, me and Joshua did. And 3 of us met there. So yesterday, after I got done at my job, I actually left and went to Tuscaloosa. Drove 3 hours and 15 minutes. Stayed with grandparents last night. This morning got up, had breakfast, and drove 2.5 hours to Huntsville. And I wore my Astros jersey, my 1971 Shooting Star jersey, my Orange Crush hat. I brought him Richard. I brought him copies of both my books, Umpire Diary and Orange Crush. And we sat there. We talked for 3 hours from 2 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Because when we were talking about meeting up somewhere, he said that he didn't want to meet somewhere where it was like a restaurant or somewhere where we feel obligated to get up and leave after an hour, because he was saying he felt like the conversation was going to be a lot longer than an hour. And it was. And I was fine with that, It's like, let me hear your information. Let me hear what stories you have, And, we got there, and, he talked some about, Hoffines, Artie Bob Smith, Craig Cohen, and George Kirksey, the build-up of Houston baseball in the area, because he was young growing up in the area, or at least starting in high school, and then he played at Sam Houston State. They got to a lot of Astros games because, they didn't practice in the summer and the fall. Just it was different back then. And the coach who would often get them tickets. And then his second career being in the hotel industry, taught some about that. Some of that wasn't all baseball related, but it was still cool to hear about. the perspective he has is a lot different. We talked about a lot. It's I guess it's kind of hard for me to give say specific stories, also because he said a lot of the stuff. You know, it's probably stuff that he said stuff that he said he's going to take to his grave, just because some of it, that's just what he feels like he needs to do with that information, which is absolutely fine. Again, like the league he played in, like he doesn't even have a baseballreference.com page. You can search his name on Baseball Reference; it's not going to pull up anything. I mean, that's kind of the and there's a story behind why there's no results there, and it's a story. He didn't give me everything, but he gave me a little bit. But I don't think that I should responsibly share it with you in this video. I'm sorry, but I don't think I should. But I gave him a copy of the book, and he's going to read it. He brought 2 old catcher's mitts, one of them was one of the ones that doesn't have a break. It's just like a big old thing with an indentation in it. And it wasn't actually his. The one he had, he sold during his playing career, but he got that one years later. But then he had his newer one that was a 1-break mitt, a Wilson, that he got in anticipation to use in the 1972 season, and he did. And so, he got to see the Astrodome. He remembers wearing an orange hat. When I had my orange hat on, he said that brought back memories, that he remembered that well. I could tell me being there to listen to him meant a lot. This obviously I went in there hoping that I'd hear stories I hadn't heard and gain a new perspective and maybe see some artifacts or old stuff from his playing career, and I did. But the big takeaway from this was I gave him the opportunity to tell stories that the vast majority of people today would not even care to listen to. But I do, and I know what he's talking about, I mean, the people these days who are willing to listen to those stories and who know enough about them, to properly understand them out of hand, are only getting very much fewer and fewer. So when you've got somebody young like me, I mean, I can't imagine how he felt. It's still strange. Obviously, the first question he asked me, how does a 24-year-old from Alabama write about the 1971 Astros? From, a young 24-year-old guy writing about a 1971 team, and a guy from Alabama writing about a team in Houston. And then both of those combined. How the heck does that happen? And, of course, I told him about my, background on my father's side of the family. And I could probably go into more detail, but I don't want to make this video too long. I'm pretty sure I made his day today. I'm a little tired. It's 11 o'clock p.m. right now, Eastern time, where I'm at. So it's 10 Central. On Thursday, October 9th. 36 hours ago, I would have figured I'd just be lounging around here. Had no idea I'd be going up to Tuscaloosa and then to Huntsville to talk with a former Astros farmhand, and somebody with the experiences that he had. And as I continue to let the conversation sink in, because I didn't record or anything, because actually he was, when we got in there to the lounge, he wanted to make sure we weren't recording or anything because he wanted to be able to share freely. And, of course, I respected that and didn't. I had in the back of my head, maybe I would use my phone to record it, but I decided not to. That's okay. It was cool. He was wearing this red blazer with the Rocket City Trash Pandas logo on the breast pocket. So he had that made while he was working the VIP elevator there during his time there. And he also had some ties with the logo put on too, but he didn't wear that today. Very cool. I could tell it meant a lot to him and meant a lot to me too. I mean, I got to hear his stories. He had some baseball cards with some that showed catchers with their mitts, and I asked him some about the Orange Crush uniform and talked about the stirrups and having to show the star on them. I wish we could have talked more about what he thought of all the players, because he said he knew all the guys on the team, the big league team. I wish I could ask him about, Larry Durker, Joe Morgan, Jimmy Wynn, Bob Boston, Doug Rader, but it just we talked about a lot, and at some point I had to get on the road, and so I did. just crazy. I'm still trying to process it all. Again, my brain still feels like it's moving from all the travel. But I mean, this thing right here has opened up a lot recently, and I wouldn't have. Well, not that necessarily I wouldn't have expected it, but I guess it's something you don't really believe it until it happens. It's still crazy to think this thing that was once just a figment of my imagination is now here in my physical hands. I'm super proud of it. If you haven't gotten a copy, please do. I really think you're going to enjoy it. And I've got 2 podcast appearances I'm going to be doing within the next couple of weeks. One's going to be recording Monday, I think. So this thing has kind of opened up some doors for me, and I'm really proud of it. And I was happy to go talk to Richard Sokolosky today about his experience with the Astros. Certainly very fun. Now, again, I wish I could share more, but again, I don't know if I remember everything right now, and there's some of it that I probably just shouldn't share with you. So I know there's a lot. This video might have been longer than it should have been, but I just want to tell you all this story a little bit, and I hope you appreciate it. I'll see y'all next time.